Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel to another reaction. So I previously recorded this while I was live on Twitch. As many of my reactions go, I felt pretty good about it. I uploaded it, and I got a comment. Won't mention the comment, but he obviously gave me some tips, helpful tips. I did respond and said, "Hey, I appreciate the feedback." And essentially, but this was recorded live, and I really couldn't do anything about it because I'm not used to recording stuff live as they are. So I'm redoing the video. I privated it, so this is going to be uploaded as kind of like a replacement video. Anyways, so this is about Subway. This is the Fat Files. I think it was the AC one. If you wanted to go check that out, I have some things. I have some things to say. But yeah, so this is the worst franchise in American history, Subway. I don't know what I'll title this video because I don't want it to be reused content or anything like that. I'll probably wait a little bit before uploading this video. But it'll be uploaded either way. Yeah, so I think because I'll have some thoughts because this is pre-watched, right? So I don't really know what else to say other than that. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into it.
You know it's gonna be good when I have to call my lawyer before I post the video. Today we're talking about Subway. Why? Because I went there for like the first time in 10 years the other day and they asked me for a tip at checkout, which annoyed me. So then I looked into it and then I found out that you can get hepatitis from a sandwich. I'm not exaggerating, that actually happened and it's like the tip of the iceberg. And to be honest with you, this is also the part where my lawyer explicitly told me to insert a disclaimer in this video.
The fact that he has to have a, I love the pause. The fact that he has to actually have a disclaimer because, he could get sued. Luckily, he hasn't gotten sued yet. But it's one of those things where it's like when you talk about a certain company badly, there is a good chance that you could get sued, especially if it's like McDonald's or Subway or Chick-fil-A or whatever, right? Any company really can sue you. And so, yeah, if I talked about Subway badly, I'd probably get a lawyer immediately. That's not even a joke. That's not even a question. So anyways.
So here's Jake the lawyer, aka the Internet Esquire.
Okay, here's the deal, Subway Group, now wholly owned by affiliates of Rourke Capital and formerly known as Pizza Super Submarine Sandwiches. My client, the Mr. Fat Electrician, is providing in this video true or substantially true information derived from reasonably reliable and publicly available material. There are no known falsehoods made, and any analysis of the material presented is made solely for the purposes of news reporting, protected commentary, or new understandings. In no way is this video or the things said by my client in this video in any medium now known or hereafter advised throughout the universe and in perpetuity in any way a sponsorship or endorsement of Subway Group. And any so-called conclusions drawn by my client as a result of the material are that of opinion, satire, or are otherwise accurate depictions preserved in their full context when not otherwise artistically interpreted for the purposes of valuable public commentary. And notwithstanding the foregoing, we reserve all right, title, and interest in and to the presentation of the materials presented in this audiovisual format, and with God as our witness, pray that no binders be bound against you as a result of this video. I'm Jake the lawyer, signing off.
Alright, in case you can't tell, this video is going to be unhinged, so let's just get the ad out of the way now and then we can watch my blood pressure rise for the next 15 minutes straight. This video is brought to you by Supremacy World War III, a free-to-play online PvP strategy-based game available on mobile and desktop.
Did anyone else get that? I'm kidding. I got every word. I'm just being facetious. I'm just being, But yeah, I get it. Like, when you're like I said in the beginning, like if you're talking about a company negatively, it's just one of those things. Just like prepare to lawyer up because, just I don't think there's anything about Subway that hasn't been made public already. And also, I know that he's going to mention this later on in the video, right? Subway isn't owned by the same people. I was actually visiting my uncle's, what was it, Saturday? Because my uncles are in town. But they, how do I put this? We were talking about Subway, and I was just talking to him about the various business models, right? or the businesses and the business models that they have. And then, I'll just let, and I'll basically the whole point that I'm trying to make is that there's nothing about Subway that either A hasn't been made public or B hasn't been known to the public. And also C, they aren't owned by the same people anymore. As Jake the lawyer said, they are owned by Rourke Capital. So there you go.
It is based on a World War III type scenario, which definitely isn't becoming
Sorry for
more
pausing
and
in the
more
middle of the
realistic
ad. I
every
do
single day.
I
You
do
can pick your
apologize for
country
that.
and go off to war playing with up to 99 other people. Personally, I'm picking the United States because I enjoy winning. But hey, that's me. You can do whatever you want. You could go play as Iran. Maybe it's fun to lose your entire navy in like 45 minutes. Again, I mean, seriously, if I had a nickel for every single time that a Republican TV star became the president of the United States and then orcas randomly started wearing dead salmons on top of their heads and then America destroyed Iran's entire navy in like a day, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but that's a really weird coincidence. Also, yes, I called that. They also just released their new officer update where you can unlock elite commanders that give your entire country unique abilities and powers and power-ups. And if you use my code down below, you're going to immediately unlock a free railgun, giving you a huge advantage right out of the gate. So go check that out. Let's get back to the video. All right, story time. I used to go to Subway every single day my junior, senior year of high school, and the entire time I was in college, I pretty much exclusively survived off of Subway and protein shakes. And
That's what I used to do, right? Well, not to the extent that he did, but I used to always love Subway, right? I love their sandwiches. I love their as a kid growing up who really didn't know a whole lot about Subway, I used to always go to Subway. He's gonna mention it, I know, but I remember the $5 footlongs, and I remember the absolute marketing campaign. I remember a particular someone that he's also going to mention, right? I remember all that, right? I grew up with this, right? I was born in the 90s, so you know, yeah. So I used to always sleep. I remember when I first went to college, I think this was like 24 like late 2014, like after high school. So I graduated May 4th of 2014 from high school, and then I took a summer job, and then I ended up going immediately into college. And I the college that I went to had like a buffet and stuff like that, and I remember I would always get a Subway, and I would just like, I'd have this, blah 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 blah, just like, yeah, and then that was it. I didn't really have to you know get anything else. I think I just got like a meat sub or something like that, or whatever it was, right? Whatever it was. And yeah, so overall, I just got whatever was on the menu, and I said, thank you very much, and yeah, so, but yeah, I used to always go to Subway. Not so much anymore. I've kind of cut things out of my diet, a ton. Like fast food. I had fast food like for the first time in like ages. And man, oh man, I could not stop burping. I felt disgusted with myself. I felt like if I went to Subway again, I'd probably feel the same way, right? Because my body is just full on rejecting a lot of this stuff now. So, anyways.
This is back in the day when that Jared from Subway guy that lost
And they, yeah,
was still in
I wasn't gonna
every
mention his name, but yeah, everybody knows about Jared from
billboards all over
Subway.
the country, and footlongs were $5. So when I went into Subway the other day for the first time in like 10 years, I was expecting the price, probably went up a little bit. Inflation, everything going on. It's probably not $5 anymore. That's fine. I go in, I have my sandwich made, I get to checkout. My sandwich was like $19.
They said market price.
So right out of the gate, there's some sticker shock, but immediately I'm looking for silver linings. I'm like, okay, Subway's probably one of these companies that has like a pretty high minimum wage for their workers, and that's what's going to justify the price of the sandwich. It's actually going to the worker. You know what, that's fine. And then the cashier does the classic swivel the fucking tablet around, asking me how much money I want to leave for a tip.
I have thoughts about this because most companies nowadays do this. Most companies, and I don't get it. Just pay your fucking workers, man. That's all I'll say. Just pay your workers. Just pay your workers a higher wage, and I think it'll all be better. But I'm also not going to be that asshole that is going to get I love the face. I'm not going to be that asshole that is going to be like, not tip, right? If I don't have money, then I won't tip. But if I do have the money, then yeah, I'll give you a tip. I'm not going to be that guy. At least I try not to be, right? It's not like I'm going to a restaurant and they're giving me a service. So, anyways, I know he's going to talk about it, so I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Immediately, I caved to societal pressure because I don't want this young lady to think I'm an asshole, so I leave a tip, I grab my
Right.
sandwich, I go eat my sandwich. While I'm eating the sandwich, I'm just stewing. Like, I don't think I should have to tip the people that work at Subway. Not because I don't think, they provide a service, they did a good job, or, they deserve to make more money. They do, that's fine. But the company should be paying them more fucking money. I just paid 300% more money for my sandwich. Pay your employees more money.
Yeah.
I understand Subway's a restaurant and, like, you tip people that work at restaurants, but it's not like I sat down, a waiter came out, took my drink order, took my food order, brought me my food. There was no service involved, okay? I stood there and told you how to make the fucking sandwich. I was the project manager on this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, it's like every time I go to Subway, like I'm the project manager. I'm telling you how to make my own sandwich. I'm telling you what to put on, how to make it, blah 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 blah. I'm telling you how to make my sandwich. So it's not like anything other than that, right? I am basically the project manager telling you how to make a sandwich. So yeah, but and that's how I always felt, right? That's how I always felt when it came to like sandwich shops, right? I would literally tell them how to make a sandwich, whether it be Panera Bread or anything like that. Although Panera Bread had more set sandwiches, right? But whenever I go to a like the grocery store, right? Like Safeway or something like that. I don't know what they have it over the. I think it's mostly just Kroger's or something. I don't know. But I would literally tell them what I wanted. I would tell them what I wanted in the menu. Say, hey, I would like this, and that. Right? I would tell them the sauce that I have there. Yeah, like I'm telling you how to make my own, how to make my sandwich that I'm going to use, that I'm going to eat. So yeah. Anyways, I'm agreeing.
Sandwich, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I'm part of the team.
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew, part of the ship.
At this point, I become convinced at some point in the past 10 years, all the big wigs at Subway got together in their headquarters in some secret underground layer underneath the volcano or wherever Subway's headquarters is, and they had a meeting.
Imagine if
They
Subway's
were like,
headquarters
okay,
was
guys,
in a
we need to pay
volcano.
our employees more money. Option A, we can raise the price of the sandwich 300% and pay our employees more money. Option B, we can raise the price of the sandwich 300% and then we can add a tip screen. That way, when the employees are mad they're not making enough money, we shift the blame from us to the customers.
Man, I hate that. I hate when they do that. And dude, I'm just gonna go on a little bit of a rant. Movie actors and stuff, and people like that in Hollywood started doing that. The fucking face. No, but like, game developers started doing that, right? Whenever something doesn't go well or something doesn't pan out or whatever, and it becomes a giant flop or whatever the case may be, it's kind of a similar concept, right? It's like, what makes us the bad guys? Whenever we get upset, we have a right to be upset. We are the customer, right? We are the customer. We are the consumer of your product. So I don't get it. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. Please make it make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense in my brain. My God. Anyways, yeah, so like it's the same thing with like, obviously I'm not going to go on a huge tangent about the video game industry, but it's kind of the same process as when a game flops, all of a sudden it's our fault. Same thing with movies. Like I remember Snow White coming out and it being like the worst movie that Disney ever made, right? And then all of a sudden it was our fault that the movie that we didn't like. I guarantee you 99% of people did not like that movie because they appreciated the original better and I guarantee you, on a tangent, Walt Disney is rolling in his fucking grave right now. I guarantee you. But anyways, on that topic, I do agree. It shouldn't be on the blame of the customers. Just pay your fucking employees more money.
Okay, I'm sorry, you don't get to charge me 4 times as much for a sandwich and then also try to paint me as an asshole to the high schooler behind the cash register. It's not gonna happen. So now I gotta know everything. I start digging into Subway.
What is?
Grab a
You,
shovel.
dude, you know it's bad when they put out a Rick and Morty one. But Rick and Morty, you know it's bad. So
Once upon a time, 1965, there's a 17-year-old kid named Fred DeLuca, and he wants to go off to medical school, but he doesn't have enough money to pay for it. So he's like, hey, my family has this rich friend. He's a nuclear physicist. He's got all kinds of money. I'm going to go to him and ask for his advice, probably secretly hoping that the guy's just going to offer to pay for my college. To his surprise, instead, nuclear physicist guy is like, I'm not going to pay for your college, but I will give you $1,000 to start a sandwich shop, and me and you can go into business together, and then you can use the money from the sandwich shop to pay for medical school. At $1,000 in 1965,
I will say that it was a genius idea to do that because anybody in the world can make a sandwich. Anybody, right? It would have been an easy thing to do, an easy thing to maintain. And so yeah. It's just sad what happened, but they did it to themselves.
is like 20 grand today, so not an insignificant amount of money. So they open up Pete's Submarines, which is the original name for Subway, and for the first couple of years, they don't really make any money, and a humongous problem they have is people keep calling to order pizza. Because apparently Fred DeLuca in all the radio advertisements has a thick New York accent, so when he says Pete's Submarines, what people hear is Pizza Marines. So rather than learning how to say Pete's Submarines, he's like, fuck it, we're just gonna rename the restaurant Subway. From here, they start like breaking even. They're making a little bit of money, but like it's nothing to write home about. He's not gonna be able to go to medical school anytime soon. And he's like, okay, hear me out. I've got an idea. We're not really making any money with this submarine shop. What if we double down and open a second submarine shop?
Dream big, right?
Basically, he uses reverse psychology into tricking people to come in to eat these sandwiches because when he opens up a second location, people are like, oh my God, they're opening up second locations. They're expanding. They must be delicious. And he starts getting more business. Some of the
a little problem with that, right? It yes, in theory, that could work, right? But as you will see, it's not feasible because yeah, like I'm just gonna let him explain it.
best advice I've ever heard in my entire life when I was in the military was fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing here, and it works. Now, ultimately, this is going to be their downfall, but at the time, it makes sense. Fred identifies, hey, rapid expansion is what's making money. We're going to keep rapidly expanding. More locations, more money, more market dominance. Makes sense. So they start opening up Subways everywhere, and then they start franchising, which is, you know, basically, hey, you can use my branding, you can use all my vendors, I'll show you how to do this job. You pay me a bunch of money to open up a Subway, and then you give me like a percentage of your cut, and then they just start opening up franchises all over the United States. And this is actually brilliant for Subway because Subway has a ton of advantages when it comes to franchising. Because Subway, they're just making sandwiches. They
Yeah.
don't need deep fryers. They don't need a big cooktop. They don't need all the stuff that other restaurants need. They don't need a ton of special equipment. There's not a bunch of special training. Everybody on the planet knows how to make a sandwich. So the
Yeah, and that's another thing, right? It's like everybody in the world knows how to make a sandwich, as I said earlier, right? Subway is not one of those places where you need all of this equipment, right? And to me, that was a brilliant decision. That was a brilliant that it would be brilliant marketing. It would be, but the only issue is that when you start opening up businesses without gaining the popularity first, because I guarantee you, like if you actually look up McDonald's, if you look up Burger King, you look up Coca-Cola, look up all of these companies, right? Well, maybe not Coca-Cola, but you know, but like for what's another one? Chick-fil-A, right? Guarantee you, they opened up one, grew from that, and then started opening up more locations. You know, that's how you grew, right? That's how you grew. And to be fair, and I think he mentions it, but it's like their territories, right? Like it's, as an example, McDonald's and Burger King. Like McDonald's is on one end, Burger King is on like the other side of town, right? And like each one is like that's the territory, right? Or it's like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. It's kind of like that, right? So, anyways, food for thought.
Overhead to open up a new restaurant is extremely low. The amount of training you have to give employees is extremely low, and the amount of space that you actually need to have a functioning Subway is also extremely low because, again, they don't have ovens and deep fryers and all that other shit. Which also means that it's really cheap to start a Subway because there's not a lot of overhead, so you could open up a Subway for like $150,000 to $200,000.
Yeah, but yes, it's cheap, but how is it going to be successful? Maybe. I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section below.
Where competitors like McDonald's are like $2 million to open up a McDonald's. And this is where Subway's fixation with hyper expansion starts to bite them in the ass because, again, that's all they care about, just more Subways. More Subways is the answer. More Subways equals more money. Typically, with a franchise, the franchising company like Subway or McDonald's is committed to making sure that their franchisees, aka their restaurant locations and their owners, are successful. There's a lot of ways that they do this, and one of the big ones is typically having territories. So like Chick-fil-A or McDonald's.
Like I said.
Like, okay, this city has one McDonald's. It's big enough for 2 McDonald's, but we're going to stick it on the other end of town so both of these franchises can be successful.
And that's how most companies do this, or most like big name franchises. Like I would be like, say, for example, in Sacramento, right? Or Folsom, or anywhere in California, or LA. Like let's just say LA, right? Or I'd be in Detroit, or just anywhere in the world, right? I guarantee you, if I saw a McDonald's and I went on the opposite end of town, I would see like a Burger King or a Chick-fil-A or I'm trying to think what other franchises there are. Or Chipotle or whatever have you. Like Chipotle honestly is I love Chipotle. I think it's a great burrito shop. Now, is it I think I go there every so often. I don't go there enough, right? I don't go there as often as I used to, right? Because, money became tight for me. But again, that's pretty much what it was. And so for me, I like there are like it, especially in my area where I'm at, right? It's like there's McDonald's, there's possibly Burger King, there's all sorts of different places where these are, right? And so yeah, and so territories is like the gold standard, like the current standard of franchising and opening up new locations, especially like say for instance, well, I mean, I guess for Waffle House it works better. I might do a video on that. And yes, I did pre-watch that video too, but Waffle House, the reason they're successful is because one, well, I won't get into Waffle House, but maybe I'll watch that video later on. But yeah, but like I said, let me know what you think. So
Subway, on the other hand, doesn't appear to give a shit because remember, all they care about is having more Subways. More equals more money, so they don't care how close they get put together, and there's Subways across the street from Subways all over America. I'm not exaggerating. In my small town in Iowa, there's 3 Subways, and 2 of them are in the same parking lot. One of them is in Walmart, and the other one is like 200 yards outside the front doors of Walmart as a standalone Subway. So obviously, they start cannibalizing each other's profits. They're literally competing with themselves. And that's not even the worst part. The overall franchise agreement, I've looked into a lot of restaurants to have franchising. This is the worst one by far. I would be shocked if it's not the worst one on the planet. Not only if you open up a Subway, will they let somebody else open up another Subway right across the street and cannibalize a lot of your profits, they also have like the highest franchise fee that I've ever come across at 12.5%. And a franchise fee is taken from gross revenue, not gross profit.
I was shocked when I heard that because I think I'm actually looking this up because I actually do not know. How much do companies like McDonald's take out a paycheck, or Oh, wait. Let's actually do this. $10 to 20%. Withhold about 10 to 20%. Okay, so yeah, so okay, Social Security tax 6.2, Medicare tax 1.5. Okay, so federal income tax is usually 10. Okay, state and local taxes is like 1 to over 6%. Overall, yeah. So, but yeah, the fact that they're under Subway is cause for concern. So, anyway.
Meaning, before you even take out all the costs of running this business, Subway's taken 12.5% right off the top. To put it into perspective, McDonald's franchise fee is 8%, so Subway's is 50%.
Oh, hold on. Franchise fee. Let's see. How much is McDonald's franchise fee? That's not what I want. Bruh. In percentage. 5%. 5%. The original, okay, yeah. 5%. There you go. Okay, 8.5 to 15% of gross sales. There you go. This is why we look things up.
Simpler business. And that's not even the worst part. In the Subway franchise agreement, well, in every franchise agreement, really, there's, terms where you can revoke somebody's franchise. Basically, like if a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A isn't living up to the McDonald's or Chick-fil-A name, they can take away the name so you're no longer a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A, so you don't ruin their reputation across the entire country. And Subway has the same thing. That's fine, but theirs is intentionally broad, and they can basically take your location from you for a wide variety of reasons, and they've been taken to court multiple times, being accused of nitpicking minor stuff to take over very profitable locations, including in 2005 when they seized 2 Subways in Dallas, Texas from a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve who was actively on deployment in fucking Afghanistan.
I remember hearing about this when I think I was like 11. Yeah, I was 11 years old when this happened. And I think I remember my mom or my dad watching the news at the time. I think it was my mom. And holy crapola. This shocked me when I heard about this. And So it was one of those things where I'm like, what are you doing, Subway? I had questions, right? But I still went to Subway, right? Especially when they came out with the $5 foot long, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so everybody knows about the $5 foot long, but yeah.
Now, to be fair, I don't know what their justification was for why they seized the locations, but considering the fact that in 2009, Subway lost the court case to said lieutenant colonel because they deemed it illegal, I'm gonna say they weren't fucking good enough. But hypothetically, just for fun, let's just say they were good reasons. Subway corporate identifies 2 restaurants in Dallas, Texas that aren't living up to the Subway standard, and they're like, what's going on here? What should we do? Oh, the owner's on deployment in fucking Afghanistan and isn't there to run it appropriately. Should we A, step in and help during the most stressful time of their entire life, presumably? Or should we B, repo their businesses, take their family's livelihood, so that while they're also fighting a war, they can deal about their family back home and losing their business? Huge W for corporate Subway. Makes them look great. I'm sorry, I'm getting horrifically sidetracked, but you guys get it. The franchise agreement is complete and utter bullshit and has been for the majority, if not the entire time Subway's been in business. Back to the timeline. In the 1980s and the 1990s, Subway is growing like crazy, and And then in 1999, they have their first major scandal when 32 people in Seattle got hepatitis from 2 different.
Hold on, let's read this. Seattle, Washington. Class action lawsuit was filed today in King County Superior Court against the 2 Subway sandwich shops implicating in the recent hepatitis A outbreak. The name plaintiff and Anita, don't know that word, ate a sandwich purchased at the Subway located at insert location here, and then September 9th. Okay. According to Seattle King County Pork. But yeah, so it's one of those things where I was like 5. No. Was I 5? Yeah, I was 5. So it wouldn't have bothered me much, but wouldn't have affected me because one, I'm not in Washington. 2, makes you think a little bit, doesn't it?
Subway locations for eating a sandwich, one of which was a 6-year-old boy who went into acute liver failure and had to get a liver transplant.
That's wild. I love that's wild to me. It's like you're putting a kid in danger at that point, dude.
I didn't understand what you said. Could you put that in layman terms for me?
I'll be honest, didn't even know you could get hepatitis from a sandwich, but a new fear has just been unlocked.
Yeah, for me too, dude. Yeah.
That, the healthy, fresh option giving you hepatitis isn't a great look for Subway. So now Subway's hurting. They need a new PR campaign to turn this entire thing around. And in 2000, 1 year later, they find it in a college student that had lost like 250 pounds, supposedly only eating Subway, Jared Fogle. He starts filming commercials talking about how much weight he lost only eating Subway.
Yeah.
He's bringing up his old pants, and now he can fit in like one leg of the pants, showing off how much weight he lost. It is a humongous marketing success. Legitimately one of the most iconic and successful marketing campaigns of all time. Everybody knows Jared from Subway. He becomes the face of the company. It's so successful that Subway corporate said between 2000 and 2011, they credit Jared's ad campaign with 1/3 to 1/2 of their growth during that time. And during that time, they tripled in size. So you can't really argue with the results of this ad campaign. However, it's not something I would ever advise, having somebody off the street become the national spokesperson for your humongous company. Why? Because if they do some crazy shit, it's going to make the entire company look bad. And this is why most huge companies have a fictional character as their mascot. You've got Ronald McDonald, Burger King, the Michelin Tire Man, Tony the Tiger. They're cartoons. They're safe. They're never going to get pulled over for a DUI while they have a pile of blow and a hooker in the back seat. Like, that's the idea. And I'm sure you all know what I'm getting at, because in 2015, Jared Fogle ends up getting arrested and sent to federal prison for 15 years for, and I quote, illicit sexual conduct with a minor and having a bunch of illicit child material on his computer. Okay, unpopular opinion, 15 years, not enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, brother, like, you know what prisoners do? Like, give prisoners at least some credit. They do protect kids. Like, all of the conversations that I've had with people who have either known someone in prison or at least have or at least talked to someone in prison or whatever, or at least knows about the confines of prison, right? Knows you could be going to jail for anything. And for the most part, they won't really care, right? However, the one thing that they draw the line on, no matter where you are or where you're at, don't fuck with kids. They will fuck you up. And I've heard, from close friends and stuff, I've heard horror stories, for someone doing exactly what, Jared Fogle did, and just being one of those things is like, you did that, and then they end up, doing exactly what that prisoner ends up doing, only 10 times as worse. You ain't getting out of that prison scot-free. Believe me, trust and believe. And like I said, that's why I say give prisoners some credit, because they at least protect kids. They protect the how do I phrase this? They they protect the integrity of kids. They understand, right? And so when someone goes out and does something as stupid as that, oh yeah, they don't tolerate that. Like I said, I've met people, I've known people that I've either had husbands or friends in prison where it's like, yeah, like I did some fucked up shit, but the one thing I would never do is do that. So just keep that in mind.
About this, but the amount of just tragic irony and foreshadowing that the college student that got famous for fitting into a smaller pair of pants ultimately gets put in federal prison for trying to get in little kids' pants is horrific. Now, that happened in 2015. Luckily for Subway, they'd kind of been phasing Jared out as their head of marketing since 2008 when they came out with the $5 footlong.
Yep,
Again,
I remember.
I'm not saying a lot
Yep,
of
yep,
positive
yep.
stuff about Subway, but their marketing team is on point because the $5 footlong also is one of the most iconic marketing campaigns of all time. I mean, we all know the $5 footlong jingle. $5 footlong. The only jingle that's ever been made that's better than that is J.G. Wentworth, and I don't even know what the fuck J.G. Wentworth does, but I will know his song till the day I die. So the
Yeah, I can't
$5
even
footlong
I can't even
absolutely
think of
dominates.
the
This
word,
came
but
out
I
in
can see it in my
2008,
head.
right when, you know, the housing market crashed, the economy's in the tank, you could go and buy a footlong sandwich for $5. People loved it. Well, most people loved it. Pretty much everybody loved it except for the franchise owners, because the franchise owners were like making little to no money. Some of the sandwiches they were even losing money on at the $5 price point. But they have to do it because Subway can set the prices, and if they can't set the prices, they can at least advertise the fuck out of it so everybody that comes into your Subway expects a $5 footlong. And then once you've already made it and they're mad that it's not $5, what are you gonna do? Throw it away? You're gonna sell it for $5 and save what money you can. I know what you're thinking. Why would Subway be willing to make a $5 footlong if they're not making money on it? Oh, that's simple, because Subway corporate doesn't give a fuck about its franchise owners. At least that's what it would appear to be, right? They're screwing them over left and right, and Subway takes 12.5% of their gross revenue, meaning not profit. So they're taking 12.5% of that $5, even if it costs them $6 to make it. Subway corporate is still getting paid. Fuck the franchise owner. And this is kind of the peak and then the downward slide of Subway, because the controversies just keep coming after this. First, they get busted because the footlongs aren't actually a foot long. People are walking in with tape measures, measuring them. They're 10 inches, 11 inches, not 12 inches. Okay, and I'm going to kind of defend Subway on this one because this is a stupid complaint. It's the same amount of dough. They just didn't stretch it out enough before they put it in the oven. It's the same amount of bread, the same amount of calories. You're getting what you paid for. And that's really all Subway had to say. It was like, hey, sorry, the employee didn't stretch the dough out long enough before.
Yeah,
he
but they
stuck it in
didn't
the
say
oven,
that,
but
did
all
they?
the bread is still there, and everybody would have been like, oh, that makes sense. That's cool. Do you think that's what Subway did? No. Absolutely not. Instead, they released an official statement on their Facebook that says, and I quote, "With regards to the size of the bread and calling it a footlong, Subway footlong is a registered trademark as a descriptive name for the sub sold in Subway restaurants and not intended to be a measurement of length."
That is so stupid, man. Why? Why would you do that? Why? Like, that is so dumb, dude. That is so fucking stupid. It's like, why the fuck would you do that? Oh, why? Like, why? Like, why on God's green earth would you just double down and say, oh yeah, it's just a measurement of length, or not a measurement of length, or whatever that thing. I was like, bro.
Translation, just because we call it a foot long doesn't mean you can expect it to be a foot long. That's just what we call it, you fucking idiot. Yeah, that Facebook post went about as well as you'd expect. They ended up taking it down. The balls to be like, we call it a foot long sub because we call it a foot long sub, not because it's 12 inches long, and if you interpret it as that way, you're dumb, is insane. To be fair though, a 2x4 hasn't been a 2x4 since like 1960, and nobody sees it. Probably because the lumber companies don't scoff and look at you like you're a moron if you expect a 2x4 to be 2x4.
Right.
Whatever. So then Subway loses their damn mind. They think they have trademarked the phrase footlong in regards to sandwiches, even though a footlong to them doesn't mean 12 inches, which ultimately leads them to suing Casey's gas station, which I've done a video on. My favorite pizza on the planet.
I gotta have a Casey's gas station. I don't know where there. I don't know where there's a Casey's gas station, but I don't know if there was. Impromptu. Is there a Casey's or let's see, it's actually because I don't want to dox myself. In their cases in California. No, damn it. Oh, okay. Let's see. I only operated stores in the 19 minutes. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Well, more you know, I guess.
Macy's also makes sub sandwiches, and their 12-inch long sandwich they call a foot long, so Subway tries to sue them for trademark infringement on a fucking measurement. A measurement that they don't even abide by. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? That'd be like if I opened up a milk company and I sold, quote, gallons of milk, and I trademarked the phrase gallon of milk, and then I only sold you 3 quarts of milk, and then I turned around and sued.
Yeah, it is
for
kind of a
actually
stupid
selling you
thing.
a gallon of milk. It's insanity. Obviously, they lost this fucking lawsuit because duh. So Subway's on its down slump, and then they just lose all credibility as being healthy in the coming scandals. Buh! What do you mean it's not healthy? Jared lost 250 pounds doing it. Buh! Okay, Jared lost a bunch of weight because he was eating 2 6-inch subs a day, and they were mostly vegetables. He was eating like 1,200 calories. You can eat 1,200 calories of literally fucking anything, and you're gonna lose weight. If you eat 1,200 calories of Slim Jims and M&Ms, you're gonna lose weight, especially if you're doing a bunch of cardio chasing children at a playground.
Oh
like
my
a
God.
pervert. In 2017, CBS, the news network, decided they were going to conduct a little study on Subway chicken. They went, they bought a sandwich, they took the chicken, took it to a lab, and found out that the chicken that Subway sells is anywhere from 42% to 53% chicken. What the fuck is the rest of it? Wait, let me guess. You trademarked the term.
That's what I want to know. What the fuck is the rest of it? What the fuck is the rest of it? That's what I want to know. It was, dude.
Chicken breast, and now if anybody assumes that a chicken breast is made out of chicken, we're obviously fucking stupid. Is that what it is? Thankfully, no, they learned their lesson. They did not go that route again. What they did was they're like, okay, we're fucking up. We're gonna make sure that the chicken is actually 100% chicken. No, I'm just kidding. They turned around and tried to sue CBS for malicious news and took them to court, and they lost. Again, because as it turns out, it's not illegal to tell the truth.
There is no way in hell that I am going to say oh, I'm really worried I'm going to say it.
Then in 2020 in Ireland was instituting a new tax where they were going to, have to tax more on food made in restaurants, and Subway came to the table and they argued, well, Ireland has certain staple foods that you can't increase taxes on, and one of those staple foods is bread, and we make all of our bread fresh in our restaurants. We should be exempt from this tax. Okay, not a big fan of Subway right now. I'll admit it. I'll be up front. However, that's a reasonable point, and Ireland agrees. And Ireland is like, okay, we hear you.
Yeah, like obviously I get this like if you come to like Ireland, because from what I understand, most European countries make their stuff fresh, right? And I get Subway wanting to come out and be like, well, no, we make their stuff, like, yeah, to kind of prove that your, bread is, that would be a reasonable argument to make. It's like, no, we make our stuff fresh. Okay, then, send it over, and we'll test it. So to me, that I gotta say that this is probably one of the more smarter things that Subway's done, but I don't know.
Bread off to the lab, and we'll take a look at it. They send the bread off to the lab, and the Irish Supreme Court comes back and says, there's so much fucking sugar in this bread, you're not legally allowed to call this bread in the country of Ireland. You have to classify this as cake. You're selling cake sandwiches.
Yeah.
And all of this just keeps coming out one after another after another. It's promoted by a pedophile. The franchises aren't making money. The foot-long sandwiches are only 10 inches long, and they're not bread. They're made out of cake. Half the chicken inside the chicken isn't even fucking chicken. Obviously, it leads to the public perception that Subway isn't that fucking healthy. And while all this is going on, they get rid of the $5 foot-long and jack the fucking prices through the roof and then add a tip screen at checkout. Needless to say, Subway's in the fucking tank. They've closed down 7,600 locations since 2015, and they're closing down hundreds, if not thousands, of locations every every single year, and they are on a humongous decline. And this entire thing is just a textbook example of shitty leadership ruining an A-grade idea, because a Subway franchise was a golden idea, a brilliant idea. Super
as I said in the beginning.
Didn't need any specialized equipment. Everybody that knows how to breathe and chew bubble gum can learn how to make a sandwich in like 5 seconds. It was so easy to make a ton of money, but instead, Subway corporate was like, we're gonna make as much money as possible and fuck over all the franchisees, even though they're on our team. All they had to do was be like, hey, we're gonna structure this in a way so that the franchisees are winning, then we're gonna win, and
I think I would have been fine if they did it that way. But then, fucking face. No, but I think I would have been fine. I think everybody would have been fine. Anyways.
everybody's gonna fucking win. But no, they took the easy way out to make as much money as they could, as fast as they could, and they didn't give a shit about anybody else, and it tanked the entire company. They ended up selling to Rourke Capital in 2024, which owns Jimmy John's and Arby's and a bunch of other restaurants. So hopefully a lot of this bad leadership stuff is gone already, or if not, it's getting phased out. Also, I've talked an outrageous amount of shit in this entire video, so I want to take a minute and just be like, hey, I understand if you're mad at Subway right now too. I am as well. However, your local Subway branch probably isn't owned by Big Subway. It's probably owned by somebody in your community that's just trying to make a living making sandwiches, and don't take it out on them. It's not their fault, and they're probably a lot more mad at corporate Subway than we are. Trust me. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. Links for both of those are over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. Don't forget to go check out Supremacy World War III, unlock your railgun, and go conquer the British. It's what George Washington would have wanted.
But yeah, yeah. Anyways, guys. I think this is okay. To be fair, in my defense, when I recorded this live on stream the other day, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I don't deal well under like that immense pressure when I'm live and, you know, and stuff like that, and I have to kind of think of things on the fly. So in my defense, I was doing it live. So but yeah, I think just sitting at home, just pre-recording it and recording it at home while I'm not live, I think is going to be much better. Hopefully this is going to be a better performing video for you all. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I'll catch y'all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye and peace. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitch. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's also going to be a Discord link as well. There you go. Yeah, so I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.